Although Yngwie Malmsteen often claims that he's not influenced by any guitar players, when Eddie Van Halen died, Yngwie wrote this on his Twitter page. Just heard the devastating news. One of the absolute giants is gone. He influenced and inspired an entire generation, including myself. His legacy will always remain R.I.P. Edward. There's also an interview where Yngwie places Eddie Van Halen on his top 10 favorite guitar players list. Malmsteen said that he loves Ed's work and especially his rhythm guitar playing. And as we know, Ed's rhythm guitar playing was mostly influenced by Pete Townshend and Malcolm Young. Yngwie listened to Deep Purple in Sweden when he was 9. But by 1975, when he was 12, he switched to classical violin music. In those days, Yngwie played in a band which was a trio called Powerhouse. So one day in 1978, their drummer came in and said, "Hey guys, you have to check this out. This is fantastic." And he showed the first Van Halen album. Yngwie said, "What's this? Another band? Whatever." But the drummer put it on, and Yngwie couldn't believe what he was listening to. He was just blown away. Yngwie recalls, in 1978, no one had heard this before. And even though Edward wasn't the first person to tap, he put it on the map. No one did it like him. But what really knocked me out was the energy and the don't give a damn attitude that the whole band had. They were essentially a power trio and they were playing live. They made me so inspired because I had a power trio too. All the albums are great. I think the first and the second ones, Van Halen and Van Halen 2, almost feel like part 1 and 2 of the same album. They have the same feel, no overdubs, just go for it. This is what Yngwie loved about Van Halen, the rawness of it all. No overdubs. They recorded songs in just one take. Yngwie says Eddie didn't have a Floyd Rose for those early records. It was just a vintage Fender bridge. I found those kind of locking tremolo arm kills the sound of the guitar. I use vintage trims and float my bridges quite a bit, usually about 5 millimeters up so you can pull up. But not the whole way. Eddie's tone was great, just a 1959 Marshall all the way up and nothing turned down. But unlike many other players, Yngwie says he didn't pack his guitar up and put a humbucker in. He didn't paint stripes on it. He didn't do all the tapping either. He says it's just fruitless to copy a style like Eddie's. You can only enjoy it. Malmsteen's favorite Van Halen song is Ain't Talkin' About Love. When he heard it, he loved it immediately. He loved the riff and the sound which he used as the standard for so many years. Yngwie says, "If I can get a sound that good, I know I have a good sound." But overall, according to Malmsteen, it was the whole turn it up and go for it thing that really got him into Eddie. The impact he had on me was unbelievable, on all of us. It's just crazy, Yngwie recalls. In 1978, Yngwie recorded his first real demo titled Powerhouse, which he sent to Mike Varney of Shrapnel Records in 1982. Mike Varney brought Yngwie to the United States to join the heavy metal band Steeler. Actually, when Graham Bonnet heard Yngwie in 1983, Yngwie played in a band Steeler at that point. He compared him to Eddie. Graham Bonnet said that Yngwie Malmsteen was very much like Eddie Van Halen, that kind of player. He said Yngwie was as good as Eddie Van Halen, really hot. Check out Yngwie Malmsteen's audition records for Alcatraz in 1983 on YouTube, folks. He jams with Bonnet's band and solos over the song called SOS off Bonnet's album Lineup from 1981. The song was written by the English musician Russ Ballard, the one who wrote Since You've Been Gone and I Surrender, which Richie Blackmore covered with his band Rainbow. Russ Ballard also played the guitar on the original version of the song SOS. In 1987, Yngwie Malmsteen talked about how much he wanted to meet Eddie Van Halen and jam with him, but he got an impression that Eddie hides from him. In 1987, Guitar World asked Yngwie, "Did Ed feel threatened?" To what Yngwie replied, "On the contrary, I read that Edward Van Halen is one of the nicest dudes in the world. I was looking forward to meeting him and hopefully becoming good friends with him. Whenever I'm somewhere that he happens to be, I ask someone to relay a message saying I was around and would love to meet him. But I still haven't met the guy. He seems to be hiding from me and suddenly disappears whenever he finds out I happen to be around. It's a very sad and totally unnecessary situation. I've always respected him, and I think he's a great player. He's probably inspired more people to play guitar than Hendrix did. The bottom line is, he's got nothing to worry about. The impression I'm getting is that he's feeling threatened by me, but I might be totally wrong. If I were to become extremely famous and everyone started calling me the guitar hero, that would not delete what he is and what he's accomplished. Just because Van Halen has been called the new guitar hero, that didn't automatically diminish what Jimi Hendrix or Eric Clapton or Jimmy Page accomplished. When I heard the first album, I couldn't believe how great the guitar playing was. And when I heard that album, it was at a point when I didn't like any of the new players. I mean, he totally changed the whole guitar field. And he's still as great now as he's ever been. I would love to jam with him. During the solo spots, Malmsteen used to perform with his teeth an E-flat major quotation from Van Halen's Eruption. In 1999, Shrapnel Records released a tribute to Van Halen called Little Guitars. The album was produced by Bob Kulick, who is best known as a Kiss session guitar player, and Yngwie Malmsteen played Light Up the Sky on that record. Billy Sheehan played bass. Yngwie does what he does best, going crazy on the guitar, just the way we like it.